Hello. Yes, I'm Keys.
Good, Keith. Fantastic. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I'm doing really good. Really good to see you.
Yes, I've like stuck around this whole time. I'm like, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe he'll get to me. Maybe he won't.
Sometimes it pays off. Sometimes sticking around pays off. So I'm glad you stuck around. So has this been making sense, the stuff that I've been talking about, Keys?
Yes, it's been making sense. I've been paying attention. I did acting when I was like a young child. So, it was a bit more simpler. You just had to be cute and smile. But
Right.
now I'm getting older. So, like, roles are a bit more serious. So, I'm trying to, develop my skills.
Makes sense. Makes sense. And as you're seeing, what's great about this way of working is we want to really like recapture that fun, right?
Mhm.
We want to capture that simplicity and that fun of like when we did it as a kid. Because often kids, they know how to do instinctually what I'm talking about. Do you know what I mean? They just like let it rip and they don't even know they're letting it rip. So, what's the monologue you wanted to do for us?
So basically, it's a scene. I never actually watched the movie. My friend just sent it to me and they were like, I think this scene is going to be good for you. It's
Mhm.
called like the Black Leader scene with Halle Berry. I never actually watched the movie. I just know the scene and like I resonate with like what she's saying. She's talking about Black leaders and like why there aren't any and kind of her take on why
Great.
there
And
aren't.
it's like a little monologue.
Yeah.
Great. So, let's do what you see us do before. Let's just have you just jump in and do the monologue and then we'll play with it.
Okay. Some people think it's because they all got killed. I think it's got more to do with the decimation of the manufacturing base in urban centers. Senator, an optimistic, energized population throws up optimistic, energized leaders. But when you shift the manufacturing to the sunbelts in the third world, you destroy the blue collar core of the Black activist population. Some people would say it's a problem that's purely cultural, but the power of the media that is continually controlled by fewer and fewer people, add that to the monopoly of the media, a consumer culture based on self-gratification, and you're not likely to have a population that wants leadership that calls for self-sacrifice. But the fact is, I'm just as materialistic at heart. But if I look at the economic base, higher domestic employment means jobs for African Americans. World War II meant jobs for African Americans. That is what energized the community for the civil rights movement of the 50s and the 60s. An energized, hopeful community will not only produce leaders, but more importantly, it'll produce leaders that they'll listen to. Now, what do you think, Senator?
Lovely, lovely, fun stuff. What a great monologue. So, let's play with this now, and we're going to do the exercise similar to what you saw me do earlier, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
and first, what we want to do is find an action and an as if for this, right? So, what comes to mind to me, if this makes sense, can you imagine waking someone up to the truth?
Yes.
And can you think of, and not the same thing the monologue is about, not like a political truth, but can you imagine a friend or a family member that you just they've said something or done something or you feel they are just really out of touch or off base with, and you've wanted to do it for a long time, and you were finally just like really trying to wake them up to the truth?
Mm-hmm.
What comes to mind?
I'm thinking of my brother because, like, a few weeks ago, he was just like talking about like COVID and like everything going on. He was like, was the world always like this? And I'm like, in a way, yeah. It just was less people were paying attention to it because everyone was busy like leading their lives. But like, this is pretty much what it always was like, minus the face masks, but like all the other issues.
Right. And would you think you'd be like passionately waking up to that truth?
Yeah, for the most part, that's how I kind of talk to him. Like I'm teaching him something.
And what is the, just so I'm clear, I want to make sure it's specific for you. What is the lesson you're trying to teach him? That like things are always like this, that he hasn't been paying attention, that he's
Yeah, I guess it would be passionate about like understanding your youth and like figuring out this information while you're young is like crucial because there's a lot of grown people that are just figuring out the world was like this. So I'm going to try to tell you this now so you're aware now.
cool. What if I give you a little spin on it? What
Okay.
if what if you, just because I kind of want to take it like away from really to try to forget about the monologue,
Okay.
the fiction of the monologue. What if we said like trying to wake someone to the truth that like, can you imagine a friend or a family member is about to like cheat on their partner and you think it's like a horrible idea?
Yeah.
And you were like, and you were really afraid, you know what I mean? Like it's a serious thing because they're about to do it. And you want to wake them up to the truth that like, this is wrong. Do you know what I mean? This is, you really need to see that this is not going to be good for you, good for him, her, whatever it is, but really trying to wake them up to the truth that they're about to make this mistake.
Mm-hmm.
Can you picture who that would be?
Yeah, I'm picturing it. I have a friend.
Good, good. So this is what we want to do, right? And as weird as it may be, just like you've seen, I'm going to talk you through it. And when you go to the monologue, and it's okay if you have to read the monologue, but just see that friend the whole time. And even if it feels weird, you want to let the lines mean anything and just be trying to wake that friend up to the truth. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Great. So close your eyes and be there with that friend. Your place, their place, wherever you're hanging out. And they're talking about what they're about to do. And watch yourself in your mind try to wake them up to the truth. They're about to make a big mistake. And they're not saying anything, they're just looking at you, but how are they looking at you? And what would they look like if they really were woken up to the truth? You're not seeing that yet. That's what you want to see. And when I say open your eyes, you'll open your eyes, you'll look at the black dot or the green dot. You're going to still see that friend or family member in your mind. And I actually want you to keep doing the improv out loud. You're going to start with the improv. And if I say monologue, you just go to the monologue, but you want it to be the same thing, right? And we might go back and forth. Open your eyes.
I really don't think that you should do that. You guys have been doing pretty well. He's a good guy. He brings you on nice dates. Why would you go talk to? He doesn't even do anything for you. He doesn't bring you anywhere. He doesn't give you what you want. And then he does good things for you. So like, I'm just not understanding why you would mess something up that's good to go for something that's a gamble. And is it even really making you happy? Does it make sense to you? Because it doesn't make sense to me. So if you can make it make sense to me, then maybe I can understand, but look at what's in front of you.
Monologue.
A great guy. Some people think it's because they all got killed. I think it's got more to do with the decimation of the manufacturing base in urban centers. Senator. An optimistic, energized population throws up optimistic, energized leaders. And when you shift the manufacturing to the Sunbelt and the third world, you destroy the blue-collar core of the activist population. Some people would say the problem is purely cultural, but the power of the media is continually controlled by fewer and fewer people. Add that to the monopoly of the media, a consumer culture based on self-gratification, and you're not likely to have a population that wants leadership that calls for self-sacrifice. But the fact is, I'm just as materialistic at heart. But if I look at the economic base, higher domestic employment means jobs for African Americans. World War II meant more jobs. That is what energized the community for the civil rights movement in the 50s and the 60s. An energized, hopeful community will not only produce leaders, but it will produce leaders that people listen to. Now, what do you think about that, Senator?
Very, very nice. Very nice. Did you feel that?
Yeah, it's because I just was having a conversation with my friend. So like, this is working.
Yeah. Yeah. But that was great. That was great. Look, it was so cool because, and even her guys watching her read it, right? Like, because this is a speech. So it's just like, suddenly it seemed to me like, oh yeah, this is this young lady she's got the speech written and she's like giving the speech like someone would, right? And it totally, I could tell you were seeing your friend, and we could see you reacting off to your friend. And right before you, I don't know if everybody else thought this, but Keys, right before you finished, it was just like so gripping the way you were like, whatever that line was, like, what do you think, Senator? Because it seemed like she was talking to the senator, you know, like the senator was a real person. Because
I
you're
talked
so,
to my friend, like,
yes, because you were.
Everything I listened to. So what do you think about what I had to say?
And that's because that, and again, it's what they're often asking for at auditions, right? They're like, we want to see a real person. We want to see you, right? And the first time you did it, it was like, okay, but it was hard to follow everything. Do you know what I mean? And that second time, I followed everything. It was like, oh, this is a speech. This is a political speech. And this young lady's thought it out, and this has meaning to her. Do you know what I mean? And she's really talking to somebody, right? So again, isn't it? And now with something like this, we could, if we had more time, we could play with different actions as ifs, right? We could play with like higher stakes, which would give it a whole different feel. Do you know what I mean? We could pick a friend that you would be, or pick a person that you would be more distanced with, right? Or you might not like that much. And so we could keep playing with it. But you begin to see how with this way of working, it's just trying different things to see what our artist likes, right? It's not about like, that's wrong or right. That was as good as it gets. That was it. That was you playing that action. Now it's the artist's choice to go like, do I want to go with that, or let me try something else? What if I was putting an asshole in their place? And what if it's my friend's ex who just said something incredibly rude to me and a group of friends, and I'm putting them in their place with a certain kind of distance and authority? We could just mix it up and do different things, and it would just create these different illusions of character. But isn't that much more fun than other ways you've been working?
No, totally. Like, I like this a lot more because, I mean, again, I'm just getting into the like getting long scripts. And so I've seen people, like you said, break it down, and like each scene I'm going to be like this, and then each scene I'm going to be like that. And it was just way too much for me. I was overthinking it. And then I was like, was I like that in the scene? Was I like that in that? So this is much more simpler. It's more relaxing.
It's fun, right? Like you said, it's like, oh, I get to, and that's the thing too, guys. We get to like, oh, I get to say the shit to my friend that I didn't really have the courage to say, but now I get to say it.
And I felt like myself when I was doing it.
You were yourself. I mean, this is the first time I'm meeting you, but you seemed like you. I got to know you. And like I said, watching you at the end, and I just got to know who Keys was. That's what we're after. And so not only may you be right or not right for this part, but I want to see more of that real person, right? And this is the thing too, instead of the old way of working of like, so many actors would take that giant monologue and go like, oh my God, I have to do like 25 interesting things with this. But with this way of working, it's just one thing. Let me just try the one thing and try different one things, and which one is the most fun, or which one do my friends, you know, or my friend whoever's watching think is the most, you know, grounded, spontaneous, delightful to watch, and let me go with that. But we don't want to create false moments. We just want to do one thing, you know? I'm teaching the class, and I'm sure everybody watching could talk about, what is Greg Sims like? And they could list all these things, right? I'm not going like, what parts of myself shall I use to teach the class today? I'm just like letting it rip. And so you get to see who I am. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Awesome.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you so much for playing with me.
Thank you.
Thank you, Keith. So lovely. What a lovely young lady. And isn't that, again, great? Another great thing about this way of working, like that, what you saw in me talking to her, I got to see that in the actual scene. We got to see her. We get to see the human being bloom with this way of working. Okay, that was lovely, Keys. Thank you so much.